Welcome to Tim Talks. Thank you again for listening. Appreciate you very much. I've been asked to talk a little bit more about sit spots and the importance of them. So the way I can start off with sit spots is I just wrote for our new book that's coming out, The Earth Caretaker Way, a piece. A sit spot that I had in a tree when I was growing up in Sunnyvale, California, which is now Silicon Valley. When I grew up there, it was mostly orchards and wild lands with some housing tracts. We had a backyard when I was growing up that had an apricot tree in it. And it was an older apricot tree, and that's one of the major crops that was growing in that area at the time. And I put a little sit spot up in the tree, maybe about 10 feet up in it. The branches kind of went out in three directions, and I put a little platform there. And that's where I would go and I would sit. And I cannot tell you that there's one of the most important things about having a sit spot, or many of the sit spots you can have, and they can be in many different places, is the place becomes personal to you. It becomes home. You get to know all the beings that live there. I got to know that tree, that apricot tree, intimately. I remember one of the greatest moments I've ever had, maybe in my life. You often think of great moments in life as like these big, profound things. But I think of them often as the simplest things lead to big things. Is when I would sit in there on that tree, in that apricot tree, and the fruit, the apricots were ripe. And I would eat them like an animal, just literally with my mouth off the tree, and put them in my mouth and squish them around and swallow. That taste of that ripe apricot, right off that tree in that moment, that was life-changing. That connected me so deeply to nature and to my soul in nature, in that in order for me to live, I need nature. That is food. Not only food that nurtures my body and allows me to grow, but food for my soul. It's magic. It sets my life off in the dream state to be able to sit in a tree, eat apricots, and look at the beautiful leaves and the blue sky through the leaves and the branches. And be sitting in that tree and have birds fly in and eat with me. Because they all wanted those ripe apricots, the jays and the other birds. So they would sit in there with me and hang out. And I remember lizards were up in the tree. And there were all kinds of insects up in the tree. It was like I was part of a city almost, of living beings. And they were all holding me and caring for me, and vice versa in return. I was appreciating them and caring for them. So sit spots, one of the most very basic levels of why they're important, is they connect you deeply to place. And that place, being the earth, leads you to being connected more deeply to the earth itself. Personal relationship. That's so vital. We live in a world where we're always busy. Boom, 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 boom. Got to look at that cell phone. Got to look at that computer. Got an appointment here. Got an appointment there. Got to do this. Got to do that. We don't take time out. Sit spots force us to take time out. And then when we take time out, boom, we go inward. We go deeper. We connect on a personal level. And then from that comes such a more profound way of living, thinking, understanding, being that could never have happened without a sit spot. You can also, in a sit spot, you can pick a spot like in the woods anywhere, like in the trees somewhere, right next to a tree that really calls you love, or looking out across a meadow or something. And you can bring things, like you can make an altar in that sit spot and put beautiful things from nature that matter to you, or photos that matter to you of someone that you care about or love, or a place, or this and that. It's a place, you can make it comfortable so that where you sit is good. You can sleep there and dream there and meditate there. And you can bring in a notebook and write there and poems and stories from nature. You can draw pictures and paint pictures there. You can do heavy thinking. You can about your life and so forth. Um, Very important. Keep the spot just for you. If you want to share it with somebody, feel free. But it's best that you have spots that are just for you. You can also have spots for many, but you need a set spot that's just for you, or many of them. And in that experience, you'll learn maybe one of the most important things you'll ever learn in your life. Who are you? Who are you in nature? Who are you as an earth caretaker? Not who your neighbor thinks you are, your friend, a book, this or that, your therapist, this or that. Who are you? You and the direct relationship with the earth itself. That's what you'll get in a sit spot. Okay, you can make a circle around it and form, and if it's going to be a longer term one, and put special rocks there to identify it. That kind of thing. A sit spot can also be incredible because you can notice changes in it. Like if an animal came through, you'll notice the tracks, and then you can see the tracks age and how old they get. You can notice if a spider built a web and how long it lasts. If an insect came in, what it ate. Maybe you watch it laid its eggs. I had one person who had a sit spot once, and a butterfly actually hatched out of its chrysalis in front of them. They watched the whole experience happen. So have sit spots. Have many sit spots. Make them beautiful, or keep them just rustic and simple. Have them up in trees. Have them in the trees, on the ground. Have them by water. Have them at the edge of meadows. Have them in your, if you have no other place, in your backyard next to a tree. Set it, make a sit spot in your backyard and plant some plants around it and get to know them. Get to know all the plants, all the animals. If you want to, give them names, or wish them well. Talk to them. Give them stories. Listen to their stories. Notice the colors and the shapes, and notice the sounds. Notice the smells. Notice the tastes. Notice how everything feels. In fact, bring all your feeling alive so that you can go more deeply on all levels. Sit spots can be transformational. One of the most important things in your life. There'll come a point when you'll love them so much, you'll believe in them so much, you're just simply not willing to give them up. That's when you know you've arrived. And then you can go to the next level. The next level. Hope. Thank you for listening.
I started these talks, and I still believe they're mostly for our alumni and future students, people who are interested in coming to our school to continue with the teachings of the school, or to be introduced to the teachings of the school. Which, if I had to break it down, it would be to build a deep personal relationship with nature, reclaim our birthright, to be close to our earth in a personal way, and a call to action, a willingness to take on the idea of becoming an earth caretaker as one of the purposes, if not the main purpose, of our life on earth. That's what these talks are about. I hope they inspire people, and I'd love to hear from you on ideas for talks you might like to hear and questions you might have if I brought any up.